Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and I wanted to make what is hopefully going to be a brief video with some just random nonsense in the background to address a number of issues that I've seen kind of surging throughout the community in recent days. It's kind of been there, floating around, but I don't know if we're heading towards a fever pitch or what the hell's going on, but something's happened where for whatever reason a large enough number of content creators and people in various places of the community, whether it's Reddit or just discords that are associated with Total War Warhammer, seem to be panicking for what I personally see to be no reason. Like, nothing's happened that should be causing this panic, but it's happening anyway. And from what I can tell, it seems to just be due to a part of the community that is fatigued or irritated with the marketing focus of Total War Warhammer 3. And I wanted to talk about it because I'm not going to come on here and say, like, oh, shame on these people for not being excited. Like, how dare they? Because, excitement's subjective, and they might be showing off things you don't care about. All of these trailers, if you're someone that is like, yeah, I really like Total War Warhammer because I'm really big in the multiplayer community and I really like the gameplay, or I'm really excited for the Siege rework and I really want to see sieges, or whatever it is you may be excited for. Obviously, if you're that guy sitting in an ice cream shop going, man, I can't wait for them to bring out the chocolate ice cream, and you feel like they just keep bringing out like vanilla over and over and over again, you're going to be like, okay, this kind of sucks. When am I going to get my chocolate? And I totally get that. But I think to pivot for some reason and go, you know what? The reason they're not bringing out my chocolate ice cream is because there is no chocolate ice cream. It's a conspiracy. They don't have chocolate ice cream. It's not ready. They said it would be ready, but they haven't given it to me yet because they keep bringing out all this damn vanilla. So you know what? I bet they don't even have chocolate ice cream. I bet they haven't even started making the chocolate ice cream, or maybe they started and they screwed it up the batch and now they're having to completely redo it. And they told me that the ice cream was going to be out 30 minutes from now, but then they came out and said, no, sorry, we need an extra 30 minutes. So now they're saying it's an hour from now. And I just want to know, is there really chocolate ice cream? Because it doesn't sound like there is. So I think that we should all do something because I haven't gotten my chocolate ice cream. Like, that's how I'm hearing what's happening, which I don't mean that in a facetious way. I'm trying to just kind of like hyper focus it into allowing me to address this without it turning into like an hour-long video, and so that I can stay focused because y'all know I like to ramble, especially when I'm not doing scripted, and I'm not doing scripted because I'm already working on a lot of scripts. Anyway, so I went and watched a couple of videos from some other creators to try and get my fingers on the pulse of what everyone is feeling and saying, and I feel like I kind of got a handle on it, and I wanted to talk about it, to just kind of toss in my opinion and try to help calm everybody down a little bit. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not here to tell you you have to be excited. That's none of my business. Like, if you're not excited for Total War Warhammer 3, hey, that's your business. If you don't like the way something's happening, hey, okay, cool. But I think I've seen some genuine calls for action because people are starting to be worried about the game, and that's where I draw the line. Like, that's where I'm, okay, now I'm getting involved. So here's the thing. The biggest complaint that I've seen, which is a complaint I understand even though I don't agree with it, is that they have not shown off gameplay, which is true and false at the same time. They have not just shown a regular battle, right? And they have also not shown us campaign footage. Those are correct, in that we haven't gotten to see just like a battle with a camera just watching it, and we have not gotten to see anything related to the campaign map yet. And people have extrapolated that to mean that something's horribly wrong with the game and therefore panic. So the big thing I want to start with is that, number one, they are showing you battle footage. Like, they're showing you in-game battle footage. You might not like the kind of battle footage we're getting, but because you may say, oh, these little movies they're showing are completely, you know, they're just super hardcore manufactured in-engine stuff, so therefore they completely and utterly don't count. And you know, all they're showing us is prepared stuff in a microcosm because the game's completely and utterly broken and they've got nothing to show for it, which I think is a frankly ridiculous position to have, because there are tidbits, there are things being shown off that are genuine. The most recent trailer, the the World of Cathay trailer, much of that trailer is just battle footage. It's just armies fighting each other with the camera catching really specific things. Like, the camera goes around and says, "Oh, look, this guy's performing a kill animation that's going to be in the game, but here, let's show you this thing." We see spells being cast. There's the scene of, I'm too lazy to pull it up, but you've got the scene where all the pink horrors throw their fire, which we know is a shooting attack they have, and a mage casts a spell, and it makes all of the fire not only not connect, but even reflects the damage back at them. And you may say, oh, that's just cinematic nonsense. No, that's an actual spell. Like, that's a spell being used that the camera caught, and it does that. We have confirmation from that on the community Discord run by Creative Assembly for all of you guys. And so they're showing things. So this idea that, oh, they're showing literally nothing, okay, they're not showing it the way you want it to be shown, but not everything we're seeing is just like this micro scripted nonsense. Like, for these big trailers like the one I'm looking at, yeah, I would say that the majority of this stuff is specifically scripted to give like a very good movie-like feel. But in the Enter the World of Cathay trailer, there's a lot of really cool things to see going on, and you see the game just acting as the game. There's not a lot of really specific scripting going on. And it's looking pretty fun and pretty good so far. But, so, I want to get that out of the way first. This idea that they've shown nothing is, like, maybe people are just being hyperbolic because they're frustrated, and I get that, but, like, I think if you're gonna criticize how things are going, especially if you're gonna say, oh, we should, like, start throwing a big fuss to try and force CA to pivot and change what they're doing, then I think you really need to be fair to what's actually going on. So they are showing battle footage, they are showing spells, they are showing things going on, and we're gonna get to see more as we get closer. But, so, get that out of the way. Next thing I want to talk about is, what is the marketing strategy? Because I haven't really made a video to talk about this since we basically picked back up with Total War Warhammer 3 marketing, because I've been enjoying it, so I didn't really feel a need to say anything. But because of this panic situation going on, I want to come out and share that, frankly, I feel very strongly that the marketing is for people who really, really like the world of Warhammer and are really excited about the fact that it's actually expanding in crazy, meaningful ways. And this is something that Games Workshop has been working very hard on, and Creative Assembly has been working very hard on together. And they're very, very excited to show it off. I've had some wonderful conversations with people either working on this game or who are closely related to people working on this game. And the marketing plan literally just seems to be right now that, hey, we've made this completely brand new thing. Like, we've got these new monogod factions that are appearing in a way they've never appeared before in Warhammer Fantasy, or at least not in a super long time. And we've got Cathay, which has never appeared before. And we want to really show off all this crazy hard work so that people can understand what is Cathay. Because you can't just explain that. You can't just put out it's not simple enough to just be like, oh well, it's Warhammer China. Like it's it doesn't really get into a lot of the nitty-gritty of it or explain the background behind it. So you have these all of these people who've worked super hard to create these like beautiful designs and try and make Cathay feel as fleshed out as the Empire or Bretonia or the dwarves or the Skaven or the Tomb Kings or the Dark Elves or the High Elves or whatever. And the thing is, that's a lot of information to convey. It's a lot. And they don't want to just overwhelm everyone, or they don't want to just like publish like, here's just the army book for Cathay, like here's an encyclopedia of just like everything. You know, they're trying to make it where it's a drip feed, where we've been getting consistent updates roughly every 3 to 4 days. It's been twice a week since Cathay was announced. And I totally get it, that there are people who don't care about that. You know, they literally just don't care. And that's totally fine. Like, there are people who just don't give a crap about the lore. And so they are feeling really, really frustrated because there is this focus on the lore. There's this focus on the background. They're trying to establish Cathay and give people like me a lot of exciting things to look forward to. And it's frustrating for me because Games Workshop is clearly involved to a notable extent, where Games Workshop has put in a lot of effort behind things like Cathay and Kislev and updating, they're using like the new designs for the demons and are trying to figure out how to make these demon factions feel big enough, so they're like throwing in these extras with them, which is causing a lot of confusion for people who I think don't understand that. But at the end of the day, the thing is that the approach for Kislev and Cathay has pretty much been consistently of, hey, here's a race you know very little about, because frankly there's not that much, or we're changing elements of it, but we want to show you what they are, what their deal is, who they are, what they feel like, what they look like. And we want you to understand, because we're really excited to show you this and we're really proud of it. And when we start just pumping into gameplay, a lot of this stuff is kind of going to get buried under that. Plus, frankly, I feel like it's better to save the gameplay for when everything can just kind of also be a continual drip feed of that, and we can see everybody. We can see all the playable races, not just 2 or 3 of them. But the thing is that there's just this large enough group of people and creators who feel, I don't understand the idea of they're not showing what I want to see, therefore the game must not be ready. I would deeply, deeply suggest anyone who feels that way to kind of take a step back and realize that you're not the only community that enjoys this series. There are lots of people who love the games for other reasons. Maybe there are people who that Games Workshop is probably trying very hard to appeal to, who are really excited to see these races because they're thinking about Warhammer the Old World, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to see all the models and all this crazy stuff. Maybe there are people like me who are really excited about the lore, and we want to know every little tiny scrap of detail. I am always super excited when those new articles come out, because not only is it like, oh yeah, here's a little more info on Zhao Ming or Miao Ying or whatever, but there's all these like juicy little lore tidbits, and I'm just eating that up, and I'm really enjoying it. But it's really frustrating that while I'm trying to enjoy this, there's like there's people who are in the same business that I am over in the corner going, oh, everything's burning, like everything's awful and horrible, and this sucks, and everything sucks, and we should, I say that we should like start telling them how much we hate it, and we should all start like canceling our wish listing or cancel your pre-orders, like protest and let them know that we know they're up to something, yada yada. And it's like, yeah, they're up to building hype. They're up to showing some of us what we want to see. Why don't you sit down and wait your turn? Oh, it's so arrogant and self-serving, and it's very frustrating to listen to. It's very frustrating to listen to. And I'm sure there are going to be some people that listen to this and go, oh, this fucking guy. But the thing is that yes, the marketing for Total War Warhammer 3 has been super bizarre, especially back at the beginning, where they announced the game and then they were quiet for a while, and then they showed off Kislev, and then they were quiet again for a little while, and then they showed off Khorne, and then they were quiet for freaking ever, and now we're in Cathay. But as much as it feels almost like a played out token at this point, we had a pandemic. We have Creative Assembly working from home most of the time. And did they reveal Total War Warhammer 3 too early? Probably. Did they not do a very good job of scheduling out their reveals for the entirety of the game? Probably. I would agree with that. I would agree that, you know, the gap between Khorne and Cathay was obnoxious, and it was super bizarre considering how big of a deal this game is going to hopefully be. It feels like a massive misstep. I'm not arguing that. I 100% agree with that. But I frankly blame that very, very heavily on the pandemic and maybe some really poor decisions in the marketing department. But I don't think that reflects on the game being something you need to worry about. I don't think you need to worry at all about how Total War Warhammer 3 is doing, because they backed it up. I think if they had not announced that they were delaying the game, and they were still saying, oh yeah, we're releasing this game in 2021, oh yeah, absolutely, we should be super worried. But that's not the case. The game's coming out in 2022, early 2022, probably like March, February, April, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think it's gonna, like, sure, I could absolutely eat shit on this and be completely wrong, but I'm not seeing anything that to me sends off warning bells. You know, I've seen some videos where people were comparing like the release hype thing, or like the marketing for Total War Warhammer 3 against other games. But that's not a fair comparison. It's not other games. Total War Warhammer 3 has a really bizarre role that it's stepping into, in that it's the end of a trilogy, which frankly has relied very, very heavily on people loving the lore and loving like updates and seeing how the factions are evolving or how they're being treated, and all of the stuff that they're showing us has traditionally been really important to the fan base for this game, to the extent that when they announce something new for the game, if they haven't explained the lore behind why something changed, like when they were like, look, here's Rapunzel, and a lot of people were like, hold the fuck on, how? Like, so I don't know, maybe it's just an impossible thing where the community is so large now that there's just very large subsections within the community, and they're just never going to align because they're just concerned with really, really different things. And so somebody's always going to be pissed off, and that's just the way it is. In which case, you know, fine, that's probably true. But what I will say is I just vehemently disagree with my fellow content creators. And I'm not like just saying this as I've heard, like I've literally sat down and watched some of these videos, and I find the leaps and bounds that they're taking to justify this idea that the game is in a danger zone and people should be worried, and it's all like it's a scheme, and they're only showing off, they're only showing off lore, and they're only showing off these little movies because they have nothing else to show, because the game's in such a bad state. Why else would they be showing us this garbage nobody cares about? Well, maybe because some of us do care about it. Like, how about you step out of your bubble for a second, son? you know, I'm really excited for this game. I'm really excited for a lot of the things that are being shown off. But there are going to be weeks, there are going to be reveals that I frankly am not going to give a crap about because they're hyper focused on a specific thing. And that's probably going to happen to everyone except for the people who just like don't even care what the reveal's about. They're just excited to see stuff. There's probably a lot of people in that category. Actually, to be frank, I'm probably in that category. But I just want to say that if you're in the community, and like I've literally got people messaging me in DMs on Twitter saying, "Hey, have you seen these videos? Hey, should I be worried about the game? Hey, why is so many people being negative right now? Like, is something going on?" No, just there's not. The game's fine. The game is fine. If I start to sense or hear about concerning things, I will say as such. You know, I was banging my drum for a good like at least 6 weeks before they announced the delay, because for me it was there's not nearly enough time left in the year for this game to come out. Like there's not enough time for them to show everything off. There's no way the game's ready to come out in 2021. I was heavy on that train. And there were people going, "Oh, Sotek's full of shit, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, what do you know? I was right." Because it just made sense. And like, I don't know. I talked to a lot of people. And the thing is like I said, if you're not excited for the game, or you're like, "Oh God, I hate this," whatever, that's fine. You're totally entitled to that opinion. But I just want to make it as clear as I can that there's no reason to be worried about like the game is a farce, or it's not coming out in 2022, or there's something horribly wrong with it, or any of that stuff. No. The long story short is that Total Warhammer 3 has been in development a long time. It's also a vastly larger game than any of the other two. If CA is to be believed, which I think they are, when they've talked about the game, they've said that the solo game 3 map is significantly larger than the solo game 2 map. It's starting with with practically twice as many races as the regular games have. I know there's a lot of frustration going on with the chaos races because people are saying, "Oh, the chaos races are super lazy because the warriors and the chaos spawn and the Forsaken are the same model, and they've just been color coded differently." Which that's a fair criticism. Honestly, super fair criticism, and I'm definitely someone that is hoping and pushing for CA to spend some more time with their the Warrior of Chaos units that are being transposed from the Warriors of Chaos into the Demons of Chaos, and to make them more suited to the faction, spice them up a little. But at the end of the day, those guys are literally just they're just a little bit of fluff that's added into the demons, because they're demons. They're demons of chaos. They're not true mono god. That's something that has already been shown to us in explicit detail, and yet the community is either just ignoring that reveal or just doesn't care, because they're just angry about these little subsets, which once again understandable, but it's like they're demons. Majority of every one of these demon factions is going to be demons. They don't even have Warrior of Chaos lords. They don't even seem to have Warriors of Chaos heroes. You know, with the Khorne roster, he had 3 Chaos Warrior units and what, like Chaos Warhounds and Chaos Spawn? And maybe Furies? No, not Furies. Whatever. But that's a video for another time. That's a whole nother can of worms. The biggest thing is I'm not going to tell you what to do, you know, not that you would listen anyway, like I'm not your dad, whatever. You can feel however you want about this game, but if you're someone that's caught in the crossfire, I want to say that there's really no reason to be panicked about this. All of the concerns that I've seen laid at the feet for Total War Warhammer 3, as far as the release date, because people are saying they're only showing off this stuff to delay, I think is complete nonsense. And it's just a very I think the individuals who are suggesting that everything they've been showing is nothingness, just because you don't like it does not mean it's garbage. Um, that's kind of the crux of what I wanted to say. And I've already probably talked in a few circles, knowing me, and have rambled on far longer than I wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and call the video here. I'll be trying to hang out in the comment sections of this video to tackle any like individual comments. If you have any specific things that you'd like to ask, as far like how do I feel about this or this, or do I think this needs to be worrisome, or any of that, happy to try and answer it. You know, let's all try and be nice to each other. Let's try and be polite. But I'm still super excited for the game, frankly. I've been loving all the information that's been showing off, and it's because it's honestly kind of curtailed to people who are interested in what I'm interested in. So for me, reading those is a lot of fun, and I really like all the things I'm getting to see. But this idea that they're just showing nothing is, I just find it to be ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. So hopefully that will provide some comfort to some people. I'm sure it will enrage others, whatever, and couldn't care less. And I'll see you guys around. So I'm going to go back to getting some streams done and working on some scripts. I've got to make a response, essentially a response video to the Celestial Dragon Emperor video I did, because there were a lot of questions that video spawned that I want to make sure I address and do my best to answer, so that people are all on the same page. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. I hope this didn't come off as like overly negative or nerd ragey. I think a lot of people tend to mistake when I'm speaking passionately to me speaking angrily. And I just want to make it clear, I'm not angry by any means. I'm just really passionate about this. And yeah. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys around.